Welcome to the Studio Chat podcast. My name is Barbara Thompson. Each week, I'll be bringing you a self-care expert or a message to help you to discover how to live your best life and understand your mind-body connection. This month, I'm going to be dedicating each and every episode to my beautiful dog, Maisie, who passed away a month ago. She was my self-care ambassador for my business, but also on every single podcast for the last 52 episodes. She has been right by my side for each and every episode I've recorded and with all of my guests. And one thing I've learned about love and unconditional love is something that Maisie showed me. She showed up every day for me. It didn't matter what I was doing, how I looked, how I felt. That beautiful dog was just my best mate, and she was always there. And it has led me in these last 4 weeks to a journey of healing, discovering more about myself, learning how to process my feelings through grief, but also just learn more about myself. And this dedication is for you, Maisie, and this month, every episode is about healing, about spirituality, and about anything that I think that my girl would like you to hear. So, sending big love to my Maisie. I miss you a lot, and these episodes are just for you. Welcome to this episode of the Studio Chat podcast. My name is Barbara. I'm the host of this podcast. If you have joined me before, hello. If it's your first time here, welcome. And today I have Nicole with me. And before I even introduce Nicole and say hello to her, I would just like to say that this is a beautiful moment for me in my podcast, because on the odd occasion I will get someone that messages me and is brave and vulnerable enough to say, hey, look, can I come on and have a chat with you? And it takes a special someone to want to do that, because sometimes we don't want to share our gifts or share our abilities. We don't want to be seen and heard. It's easy just to be like, oh, that's for that other person. So before you even say anything, Nicole, I just want to say it's a Saturday. This is out of your own time. And that I'm sure that there's other women and other people listening to this that will resonate with you and will really enjoy this chat today. So, thank you for coming on my podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's nice. It's okay. So let's just get into it. And I'd love you to share with my listeners. I know sometimes this is a bit of a weird question to ask people, because sometimes I get a bit funny having to talk about myself. Can you just share with them like a bit about who you are and where you live and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So obviously my name's Nicole, and I'm the owner of the Palm Studio Wollongong. So not only am I a beautician, but I also am a trained Reiki practitioner. Secretly, I'm a clairvoyant. I wouldn't call myself a medium, but I have had many experiences with entities and ghosts and, that side of the world, or the underworld, if you want to call it. So basically the reason that I reached out to you, Barbara, to share my story is because I'm a mom of two, and, the motherhood journey and just life journey as with being a woman and having relationships. Like, I just truly believe that women have such natural instincts that they just don't follow. And I believe that everyone has just some type of gift that, whether they want to pursue as a career or whether it's just a little guide to get you through life. I just believe that everyone should kind of just have a little bit more faith in themselves. So I just wanted to share my story with everybody, just to kind of reassure everyone that, everyone's kind of got this little beautiful gift inside, and whatever it is, to just have a little bit more faith in yourself, basically.
What I'm hearing is that I know a lot of people will resonate with this, especially
Absolutely.
with the last couple of years. We hear people talking about an awakening, or people are realizing, oh, hang on, I'm in the job I don't like. I'm in a relationship I don't like. I'm living a life that in the pit of my stomach.
Yeah.
I can't put my finger on it, but I'm stuck.
Absolutely.
I feel like there's more.
Absolutely. Just even little inklings, like little inklings you get in your relationship, or for me personally, little inklings I used to get about my kids. Like when I fell pregnant with my first son, like I always had gifts since I can't even remember how little I was when I saw my first ghost or started getting, you know, just clairvoyant messages and stuff like that. But when I fell pregnant with my first son, it's almost like it just amplifies everything. And I know that so many other mums will have the same, you know, the same stories, but mine kind of went a little bit of a different path. And yeah.
Yeah, can you tell me a little
that.
bit about that?
Yeah. So when my son was in my stomach, like I've always had very vivid dreams that kind of come to fruition. And when he was in my belly, like I used to just have these dreams and these feelings about him. Like I saw my son in dreams look exactly how he looked, like his eyelashes, his hair, and that's exactly what he looked like when he was born. And when he was in my belly, like I just knew that there was going to be something wrong with him when he came out. Like I just had this odd feeling when I was going to give birth, and it might have been because when I gave birth to him, like I did almost die, which I found out later. Like it was just a very quick experience, lost a lot of blood, was passing out after birth, but I didn't realize how intense it got until afterwards when I sat down with the doctor, and he was like, dude, did you have a big accident in December? And I was like, no, I gave birth. And he's like, oh, you almost died. I was like, yeah, right. Okay. Well, that explains a lot. But my son used to stop breathing in his sleep. And I remember the first night I brought him home, like I just couldn't sleep. There was just something in me that was like, don't stop watching your son. Like, don't let him sleep without a breathing monitor. Like he would always have these little health issues. And I just knew it was a little bit more than him being a newborn. And everyone was like, eye roll, oh, you're such an anxious mom. And I got told that I was an anxious mom all the time. I would take him to hospital. I'd be like, this, you know, he's not breathing, he's this, he's that. And I would always get told that basically I was a nutcase. And it just so happened to, and it's only in the last, you know, year when I've actually been technically trained as a Reiki practitioner, I used to see like this blackness in my son's body. Like I used to meditate over him and I used to look at him and I used to see all this stuff in his body, which now I know as a Reiki practitioner that that's his sickness and energy blockages and all of that. But I didn't know what that was. So that all came out when I had him as a baby. And then later on down the track, we found out, you know, babies who have really bad reflux, and a lot of mums have refluxy babies and doctors don't listen to them. And I'm such a big advocate for, you know what, you're their mum. I don't care what a trained doctor says. They don't live with your kid. If that's what you think, because a mother's instinct is so much more powerful than anything in the world, follow it. Just follow it. Even if you're not psychic, if you're not a Reiki healer, if you're not anything, I just believe that women just know their kids. You're attached to them, you know, physically attached to your child. Who's going to know your child better than you? Yeah. So when he was little, like I just used to get these abilities, and long story short, I was right about everything. Almost a year old, I found out that, you know, my son actually was really sick and he had to be very heavily medicated. He had these, you know, health problems continue and still continue for a long time. And, you know, if we didn't get him help, he would actually be like still so very sick. And then the second son, when he came along, he had similar health problems, even worse. He had like a throat deformity. His reflux was really bad. And I just said to my husband, like, as soon as I have him, I'm so confident with my abilities right now that no doctor, no specialist is going to tell me what to do with my kid. I'm just going to keep changing doctor until someone actually listens to me, because I know that I'm right. And that's when I actually, like, I've had these abilities my whole life, but it wasn't until I had kids that I got the Reiki visions and that I actually started to trust my own intuition to the point of no end. Yeah.
It's such a beautiful thing. I mean, thank you for sharing that with me. And I'm sorry as a new mum that I'm sure with, you know, I haven't had the privilege or honor to be a mum yet, but I can imagine that a piece of you, because that's what a child is, You are so connected to it. And as for women, yes, I had never listened to my intuition for a really long time.
Yeah.
It just saved my life. And this is such a great conversation we're having today. It's bringing awareness that if you feel something's off, it's off.
Absolutely.
Don't let anyone tell you you're
Yeah.
crazy. What were you told? That you're a what? A nutcase or something?
I didn't get literally told that I was an anxious mum, but I got treated like I was an anxious mum. Like I got brushed off a lot with medical professionals, and it took one medical professional who is probably the most highest regarded medical professional at the Children's Hospital. He said to me, he said, you know what? He said, I've been in this industry for long enough. And you know what? He had the qualifications to have an ego the size of Mexico. He could have told me anything and I would have believed him. And he was the only one who said to me, you know, if a mum ever comes to me and she tells me something that even I think goes against my training, he said, I will always listen to a mum over even my own training. He said, because over the years of my medical practice, he said, I've realized how powerful a mother's instinct is. And that's when he said to me, and I remember just wanting to break down in his office, because he was like, if you ever feel there's something wrong with your child, he said, I don't want you to listen to anyone except yourself. He said, because you know better than anyone. He said, you even know better than me. And that was just the like moment, you know, it was just, yeah. It was just that moment.
How powerful is that moment when you have someone that actually sits with you and sees you and hears you and gives you space to go, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And at that point, it wasn't even like a mum knows best. Like that was the point. That was also like, you know what, Nicole, like you've known so many things for so long, like you need to even just start trusting yourself, because, you know, you when it comes to your kids, like so many people and so many women, men, they're always so worried about offending other people. And it's the same with even women in relationships. Like I know so many women who are in relationships where they know that their partner's cheating on them and they know that, you know, their in-laws hate them or whatever, but they're so worried about offending people or ruining relationships that they don't follow their own instincts, because we're all made to feel like we're, you know, over the top, or we're dramatic, or we're crazy. No one's crazy. If you get those feelings 99% of the time, 95% of the time, you're probably right.
And speaking from experience, when you're with a partner, that I've been with multiple partners over the years, guys, not like over the years, and they have all said, oh, with my intuition, I always knew something was up. And they're like, literally, Barbara, you're crazy. No wonder no one wants to be with you. You're just, you're fucking, excuse me, but they say you're fucking mental. And I'll be like, am I? And what it is when these people say this to you, they will always back it up with, I'm speaking about a romantic relationship here within my experience. They will always talk about the ex-girlfriends and the other girlfriends, obviously compare you against them, but also tell you how crazy they were. And woman to woman, like, why can't we all just go, actually, none of us are crazy. They drive us to the point where I have had a couple of relationships where I've just lost my shit. And I'm sure anyone would have seen, whoa, yeah, I was, because they drive you, they push you, they probe you, they fill your head with shit. And then over the time you start to believe, I am wrong. No wonder no one wants to be with me. I'm really crazy.
Gaslight you. They gaslight you.
Yeah. And then you just go against everything that you've ever felt. And that could be someone listening to this today. It could be the make or break for them to be like, do I back myself and do I trust myself?
Back yourself, trust yourself. I 100%. I've had so many relationships growing up, like you said, like not all back to, I've been married, I've been with my husband for, you know, 9 years. So this is like, I'm quite old, but in my younger years, I would have relationships with people. And back then, like I knew when something was off, when people's movements are off. And, you know, I did used to think that I was crazy. I'm like, oh, it's all the trauma from before. I don't trust anyone. Well, do you know what? I trust my husband. And like my husband's never done anything like that to me. Do you know what I mean? So now, and it's only now that I know that they were actually crazy and I wasn't crazy. They're just master manipulators, some people. And that's what women need to know. Women need to know if you feel it, you just trust it.
They're very good at it. And you know what? It's all that they've ever known, and they will do it to the day they're not here on earth anymore. So they're very good at it. It's their superpower. Yeah. So, yeah. I want to circle back to your gifts.
Yes.
I want to circle back to the first time earlier on you said that you see things and you feel things and you see ghosts.
Yes.
So for me, when I hear the word ghost, I think of Casper.
Well, funny you say that actually, because I don't know how everybody else sees them, but ghosts actually can look like Casper, like fully white, like smoky, like figures, but they're still fully recognizable, as in like you can still see eye features, ears, like defined lips, curls in their hair. Like the first few ghosts that I used to see when I was younger, they were white, and then as I got older, I saw full color figures. I've seen dark figures, like full black figures. Like they come in so many different forms, and that's the thing that when you see things like that, that's why you need mentors and people who guide you, because as I got older, I realized that some of the black ones aren't really, they're either dark spirits or entities. So entities aren't people who are passed over. So they're not, a grandfather that's passed over and they're a ghost from a human. Entities are people who, like, they're not even people. They'll never be human. They'll never be on our earth. They're literally just beings that wander between realms, if that doesn't make me sound too out there.
No, this is safe. This is a safe space, Nicole. This is why I've got my podcast. Because if I'm intrigued, guaranteed there's other people listening going, oh shit, okay.
Yes.
So when you say entities, why?
Yes.
Do you know why they're kind of here?
So entities, so the Muslim religion actually have a word for them. They call them jinn. So the thing with Reiki in the spiritual world is, like, I'm Catholic and we're not even supposed to believe that ghosts exist. But when I have physically seen them my whole life, I can't deny they exist. So when I do Reiki as well, we actually have entities that you can pass them down from generations. So some of them in generations up, your grandmother or your grandmother's grandmother, your great grandmother, some of them used to delve in black magic and make deals with the devil and things like that. And that allows entities to jump in our body and affect certain things in our body. And they will literally have what they believe is a contract to jump down to kids, and then their kids, and then their kids. So I've actually done, and it's really, really extreme. And if someone told me, even though I'm a Reiki healer, if someone told me these stories, I'd be like, wow, that's intense. But I have seen it with my own eyes, and it's just pulling entities out of people, and they've gone home and they've literally had exorcism, like vomiting sessions, because these entities just are like so powerful and they don't want to leave, because they influence you to make bad decisions. They influence your emotions. Like sorry, there's things going on behind me. Probably shouldn't stop talking about them. But yeah. It's like, it was just a piece of plastic. Someone's playing with a piece of plastic and there's no one at my house. So yeah, I'm just going to ignore that. But yeah, so entities and ghosts are completely different things. Yeah.
What you've got going on there, is it safe to move forward? Are they friendly? Are you okay?
Oh yeah, no, sometimes I just won't talk about them if things like that happen, because I've seen some pretty scary things when you mention them. So I just won't talk about them anymore.
They're supposed to be friendly. Like, they're supposed to be like,
no, entities aren't friendly. Ghosts are friendly, but entities.
Okay, we're going to move on. Okay, let's talk about ghosts then. So how old were you when you first saw one, and what happened?
So I think I was really young. I think I was about 6 or 7. And I remember I would lay in my bed and I would just see these things like kind of just travel like through my doorway. And originally I remember I used to think like, oh, my eyes are just playing tricks on me. And then one day I actually, like, because when you're little, things like that scare you. And I would just normally just hide under my blanket. But this one time I remember like looking and concentrating because I wanted to see like what's going on. And I remember seeing this girl, and very, very vividly, I'll never, ever forget what she looked like. She had this bun on top of her head. She had these 2 curls that came down the side of her face. She was hovering off the ground. She had this beautiful lace dress on, and she just looked at me. She was just standing there looking at me. And I got scared, so I hid under my blanket. And then when I did a little peep, she kind of like bent down to look through the blanket to see like that I was looking at her. And then she kind of just like shifted across the room and went into the went through the wall where my parents' room was. And I was like, oh, well, when I'm scared, I go to my parents' room, and now I can't because she's in there. And I remember just being so friggin' terrified. But she was actually the very, very, very first like defined ghost. I used to see a little boy with like a little short brim hat when I was little. And I remember when I used to tell my mum about him, like he would play with the volume of the radio to like scare us. I've had some very intense interactions with ghosts when I was little. And when I would tell my parents about it, like my mum was okay. Like my mum used to believe in it. And she used to say that she used to see ghosts you know, here, there and whatever. But my dad and, you know, friends would laugh about it. So I used to be embarrassed. So I just stopped telling people about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because even today, I think on a previous podcast, I've said this stuff, whatever you want to call it, spiritual stuff, like whatever. Some people are either for it, against, or there's got to be something out there. So I think people will fall into one of those camps.
Absolutely.
And that's what having this month talk about this kind of stuff is, just raising awareness.
Absolutely.
And so, man, most of the time your encounters, you said they've been interesting, and do they come to you for like good things? I would like to think that they were there not to hurt people, but to pass on messages, or to, you know, what's your experience when it comes to
well, that's the thing. Like I've actually not until I've gotten older had experiences where they've tried to communicate with me. Like, do you know what? This is really weird to talk about because even my husband doesn't even know how deep this goes. Like I don't even talk to my husband about it. Like I have a few family members, like obviously my sister, my cousin, you know, they've always known, because when I was little, everyone would know, oh, Nicole saw a ghost. It was a big thing, you know, but not many people actually know how deep it goes. So I've actually had incidents where ghosts have touched me to try and get my attention, because when I realized who they are, it's like the anniversary of their death. And because I know that they know that I can see them, they want, like, it sounds really stupid, they want to have a chat about work because you used to work with them, or, you know, some of them want to pass on messages, or some of them, you know, want to be like, I've had them talk to me, and this is so hard to admit because I've never admitted it to many people except to the people that I give the messages to, but they'll talk to you and be like, oh, you know, when they hear, for instance, this song, let them know that that's when I'm there and stuff like that. So it's just very odd. And I've realized as I've gotten older, there's like a little high ring in my ear when they're trying to come through, and normally I would ignore it. And now when I hear that little high pitch, that's when I sit there and I try and meditate and I try and listen to see. And I don't like physically see them talking to me. It's more like a telepathy type, because they kind of tell you things that like I don't understand and I don't know where it's come from. So I know it's not my mind making these things up, because the things don't make sense to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, when you said that, my ears are ringing. They have been for a while.
I saw you when you were doing that, and I was like, oh no, Barbara's ears.
I was like, oh, I think I'm going to stop this podcast now. No. I need to just, you're getting uncomfortable, not getting uncomfortable, but it's a good place to be, because we're both vulnerable in showing women that we can talk about our gifts and our abilities. And
absolutely.
Yeah, my ears are ringing real. Woo. Okay. Anyway, maybe
it's a dog.
Yeah, because I see it as like I'm a bit, I always like to see things from the good, and I always like to have a childlike view on things, that I see if it's a ghost, it's kind of like Casper, and it's talking to you like that. So it was quite interesting, from all the movies I've seen, by you explaining it, that visually you see them that way, but how they communicate is kind of a voice in your head with words.
But that's the thing. I'm pretty sure that's how it works with me, but I'm pretty sure that, like, obviously some people are similar to me, but some people will literally see them on a TV screen talking to them. Like, I've obviously seen psychics and I've seen mediums, and every single person has different experiences. I actually have a friend who I would say was like my mentor, like when I used to see things and I wasn't very sure what they were, or what, like, how scared I should be of these things. She was the one that I would call and be like, hey, I've seen this. What is that? And she would kind of guide me into it. And she's the type of person that if she's in, let's say, a food court, an old man's wife will come over and kind of keep talking to her and bothering her to give the husband sitting over there a message. Like, I don't have anything like that. Like, the stories that I've heard from even other people are extreme, but I've also seen the girls hate it when I'm at work and I tell them that I've seen ghosts. They're like, don't tell us, it's so scary. We're not going in that room anymore. It's so scary. But I have to.
At work. Yeah.
I've seen, I saw once a woman in the room at work and she scared the shit out of me, but she was full color. But she was kind of like, as soon as I saw her, she was like, I'm happy. She gave me a little glimpse of her personality. It's almost like a complete 1 second flash and you get all this information. Like, and it turned out that she actually was one of the girls that I worked with, mum's friend who had passed away, and they had found her in her home and they didn't know when she died or how she died. And I was like, well, I described her and that it was her. And I was like, okay, well, I saw her at this time and she was happy though. So, like, I don't know how she passed away. I don't know anything, but she was definitely passed away at this time because I've seen her ghost, but she's happy. Do you know what I mean? It's like little weird things, and I'll just I'll be in work mode, so I'm not even thinking about stuff like that, and I'll just pop out.
Yeah. Just see it. And I used to be someone that wasn't into all this. Not that you have to be into this stuff, but I always. Oh no, it wouldn't have been until my 30s that I was like, I think that there's something out there. And so I was really late on that. And then obviously when one of my animals passed, I saw her, didn't see it with my dog that just passed, but the one that passed first, when you're someone it's not a debate today. This podcast isn't about whether you believe it or not. It's just saying our experiences. And my experience watching her pass away, holy fuck, I have to say that.
Really?
I saw the nurse had her. I mean, who does that when a dog's just about to be euthanized? Given the injection, they had her sitting up on her knee. She was very human-like, so it's a pug. So you can think of whatever. And she was sitting up like this. And I didn't want to hold her because I was going to lose the plot, but I didn't quite know what I was going to do because I've never been around death before. So I was like, I don't know. I could run out the room. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I hold on to her because I don't, and I had my other dog there, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna I don't know what's gonna happen to me. And so she was sitting upright like this on the vet nurse's lap, and the vet said, okay, Barbara, and we were all crying, and literally, so her paw was here and the needle hadn't even touched, I just remember the needle not even touching her skin, and the vet said, oh my God, I'm so sorry, Barbara, she's gone. And then she said that, so she was so ready to go, but the needle hadn't even really gone into her paw. And then all of a sudden I saw her, and this was 4.5 years ago, and I can still see it, which this is my introduction to this world. I saw something white, literally I saw whoosh, this whole, hang on, I have to explain it because people can't see me actually.
Wow. Oh yeah.
I saw her, so her body was sitting upright, and I saw this white flow of energy. I'm trying to explain it to people that, like me, it was the first time I've ever seen anything like that. It was like a white gush of something, and obviously it was a spirit, fly up really quickly.
Wow.
The only thing I can describe is when I looked at her, I was like, holy fuck, what was that? And the second I looked at her, all of a sudden, the best way for me to describe it was, you know, when the air goes out of a balloon.
Yeah.
Her body was like, you know.
Oh, wow.
And then she just lay down, and I was like, oh, she's gone. That's not her anymore. And that was such a blessing. But at the same time, because that was my introduction to, obviously, look what I do now. Like,
exactly.
Never would have thought I'd be doing this, but that was kind of she helped me do the stepping stone. And then I saw so many signs from her, and I thought, oh, I'm going mental. Like, I actually need to be into a hospital with a padded cell, because I kept seeing things, and then I started to believe in that. But it's so, I know that she's right, you know, with me now, and that's such a hard thing to believe in. But when I saw it with my own eyes, and I know everyone's possibly got an experience like that.
Yep.
The coolest thing, but what the fuck was, like, what was that?
Oh, absolutely.
And the crappy thing too is she's only, I got flashes of seeing her, and I haven't had that for a long time. But when she first passed, maybe the first couple of months, I'll never forget it. I was brushing my teeth, and I felt this really big lick on my shin. You know how dogs lick your shin? So you just imagine one lick, and I was brushing my teeth, and I looked down to go, oh, Maisie, you know, my other dog. I was like, Maisie. And I looked down, and she wasn't there. And then I went out to the lounge, still brushing my teeth, and Maisie was fast asleep in her bed. And then the first thing I did was cry and go, fuck you, only one lick. Like, that was the first reaction I had, not, I love you, thank you for coming in to see me, I'm starting to believe in this stuff. It was like, fuck, how stingy. You only gave me, because it was so quick. And with the spirit leaving her body, your mind wants more of it. Like, it's just a split second, and that lick was so real. And for that moment, I thought it was another dog. And then I was like, I got so upset, because I was like, oh my God, it was only that one moment I got to connect with you. And then you think, oh no, I'm losing it. Like, I just miss her. Like, I actually just miss someone. That's all it is.
And because you want more of it. And then you think, do I want it so bad that I just imagine it?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I don't. Because animals definitely go to the same place that, you know, we do. I 100% believe. I've actually never heard of a story that someone has seen the energy lift up. That's insane. Not insane. I'm not saying that you're insane, but the fact that you saw it, and then it's like her soul left her body.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we were very, very, very close. Well, both of them close, but her in particular, like, yeah, it's one of those things that you sometimes wish you didn't have a relationship.
Yeah.
Never had a relationship that close with anyone in my life, with both of them. So it's kind of like beautiful, but at the same time, it's a little shit when you have a relationship with anyone, a child, a husband, a wife, a cousin, a best friend. When you have that unconditional love, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, but bittersweet.
Goodbye to it.
Yeah.
But look, this is why we're talking about it, and this is, you know, beautiful things that you've got, these gifts that, you know, that's why you're here. And part of the reason why I think is you get to chat, like, you get to help people like me or other people to break a cycle or clear stuff and move forward, or you get to understand how they're feeling, or to connect with people that they really miss.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what the thing is too? A lot of I have seen a lot of people who have family, you know, very, very close relatives, friends pass over, and a lot of them get really upset. Like, a lot of people don't know that I can see ghosts or get any messages or anything like that. So I don't have anyone ask me normally. But when people sit there and they say to me, like, oh, I'm just so upset, I have never even seen them in a dream, I've never, you know, felt them around, like, the instant me wants to, you know, say to them, oh, you know, well, let's see if we can get something. But because I don't want people to know that I can do that, because I'm not extremely confident, I haven't, you know, delved into that too much, because I don't want to make a career out of it, I almost just kind of guide them as in, like, oh, well, you know, when you're in a different, like, people who are under the influence of alcohol or even recreational drugs, they sit on a different energetic level to us. And that's why a lot of people who are addicts have weird visions and they go a little bit like whatever, because they can actually see more than us. So I might encourage someone, oh, well, maybe have a wine or two and see, what happens, because you just kind of drop to a different, conscious level. And that's when you can see a lot more, hear a lot more, get more messages. Like, not that I'm encouraging people to drink or take drugs, but, I'm just saying, but that's why people, that's why, people will see junkies on the street and they're like, oh, they're crazy. They're actually not crazy. They're actually very vulnerable to entities and ghosts and things like that. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. And it's such a good chat. Something else that just came into my mind now is, I think if you have children too, and you know how children have imaginary friends and stuff, I never did, but the more I'm learning, I've got strong capabilities if I want to. Like, I felt some things in my old house, and I would say to them, I would say, hey, and this is obviously when my other dog passed. I had one dog and the other one was on the other side, and it wasn't a dog, it was someone. I was like, I could feel someone behind me, and I would just go, hey, look, it's like, thank you for being here. I really love you and come with a place of love, but I don't ever want to see you. You can be here. My home is your home. Totally cool. I don't want it. So this hasn't happened for ages, but I, like, in the middle of the night, I'll walk past something and I'll feel something and go, look, don't scare me. Don't hurt me. I know you're here. I love you. Thank you so much for being here, whoever you are. Love you. Just really don't want to see you. So hang out, you can be here. So I have had moments where I'm sure if I wanted to, I can't even watch horror movies or thrillers or anything like that. So there's no way I would entertain wanting to see something, because I
well, do you know what? It's actually really funny, because like, as you get older, like now that I do Reiki and, I've learned a lot more about psychic abilities and clairvoyance and mediumship. It's actually really funny how accurate some movies can be when it comes to that stuff. And like, I don't know how far you want to go down into the rabbit hole with it, but Reiki as a healing technique is so old. And I think that it's been so repressed by the world because it is actually such an effective healing technique. Like Chinese medicine, right? Chinese medicine's been around for thousands and thousands of years, and acupuncture actually works on the same energetic levels and moving and unblockages that Reiki does. It's just we don't actually physically touch most of the time our patients. And when you see these movies and the superheroes are like shooting things out their palm and stuff like that, like that's literally how your Reiki energy comes out. Like your healing energy comes out your palms, the negative energy gets channeled out through your feet and into the earth. So like, and it's just funny, you see some movies like Casper, you see some movies like The Ghost, and all of the, do you know what I mean? Like all of the movies and how they do it. It's so obviously not extremely accurate, but they get it from somewhere. Like all of these ancient movies with healing techniques and witches and things like that, it all comes from somewhere. And, when you do learn Reiki and you learn about the history of Reiki, I'm specifically trained in Sekhem Reiki, which is an Egyptian form of Reiki. And then you see all these, how are the pyramids built? Well, we kind of believe that everything kind of vibrates and everything has energy levels. And they're doing even research now that they had like kind of sound vibrations to move the stones of the pyramids. But cutting a long story short, and we're getting off track, but that's what I'm saying. Like some movies, if you watch movies and you're into this kind of world, you can actually see a lot of reality in it, which is probably a little bit scary now that I've said that for you, because if you're scared of the movies, Barbara, but yeah.
Oh no, I just don't watch them now, because obviously the job I do too, I'm helping people with stuff. So anything I watch now is funny or lighthearted. I just don't. I don't have the capacity to even. Let's watch. I can't go there anymore. So no, you're fine. You're fine saying that. I can't watch them. A couple of things I want to circle back to before we just have a good talk about Reiki.
Yes.
Is, one thing that when you said ghost, I just think of Patrick Swayze straight away. I just think, oh, what a handsome, beautiful man. Anyway, I just want to, I'm sure when anyone hears ghost, I just see him and just think, what a beautiful man.
It's a beautiful movie.
Oh, yeah, it is. But one thing is just, because I got off track, very normal for me. When we talked about kids and imaginary friends, I just wanted anyone listening to this that's a mum, that if you have a child that's maybe talking about a little friend, or because when we're kids we dream and we have a good imagination, and sometimes without even realizing as adults we stifle it because we're embarrassed or it makes us feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Allow kids to, especially now, the generation I'm seeing through that comes for therapy is, I have teenagers that worry about more things than I do, and I'm in my early 40s. And so I have, teenage girls, 15, 16-year-olds or 20-year-olds that are worrying about problems that you don't even need to worry about them, but that when you're 40 or when you're 50, it's stuff that you start contemplating and start your place in the world. And it's very deep. And I think it stems from, allow your children to play games and dream big, no limits, dream big, have big imaginations, get on their level. And if they're sitting there and they need to set a plate for this guy or girl that's sitting there, it's safe to do so, because you know what, they probably might be seeing someone.
Absolutely they can.
Yeah. And
absolutely they can. My son, so my second son, he's got absolutely nothing. Like, he doesn't see anything. He's had a few incidents where he's like pointed into a corner and he's like, daddy, because apparently my husband looks like my father-in-law. He's passed away. But my eldest has seen a lot. Like, my husband's going to find out about this now because I never used to tell him. But when I was home alone with my son, he used to always just randomly point and be like, oh, there's daddy, and like start waving to like a random corner of the room. And he'll even say to me, like, at one point we'll just be sitting there and he'll get really scared and he'll be like, oh, mum, he knows he can tell me. He's like, oh, mum, he's like, I'm feeling a little bit scared. I feel like there's someone here or something like that. So he's definitely got a gift. And I'll just say to him, like, well, if they make you feel uncomfortable, I said, you're more than welcome to ask them to leave. You just tell them that you're not comfortable and that they have to leave now. And he's like, oh, okay, no problem. So like, I wish that I had someone like that when I was growing up. And if he's comfortable with them, or if he decides that he wants to acknowledge them or talk to them, I'll encourage that as well. But at the moment, he's very scared of anything that he can feel or
thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. And so if he's seeing something in the corner, do you see it too, or is it just
no?
Oh, okay. So it doesn't work that way.
Because kids and animals, they're so like I said, it's the same with people who are under the influence of narcotics or alcohol. They sit on a different level, and kids and animals are the same because they're not burdened with life and they're not, got so many worries in their mind. They kind of sit a little bit more relaxed than us, and so they can actually see and feel a lot more. And that's why kids tend to have a lot more instances with ghosts or entities or things like that. And then as they get older, they kind of grow out of it or don't see them as much.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is that they're more pure than us. Like us, when we get older, we've got all these beliefs and black and white thinking, and we're conditioned to think and do things a certain way. And I think when you're a child, obviously you're very pure and very fresh. And animals are already born with the unconditional love thing. Like, they're already at the level that throughout our life we work to try, and most people work to try and aspire and to be and to have unconditional love in their life and to give unconditional love. Absolutely. Where animals turn up and they got it all sorted. They're good to go.
Exactly. Because a lot of people tell me that their animals, get a bit freaked out by things and see things that even they can't see or whatever. Like, it's you might have had those experiences with your dogs where they kind of like get a little bit scared of something and there's absolutely nothing there.
No, with my ones, I always looked out for that. My ones are just so cruisy and whatever. I probably had like a massive grandstand of ghosts hanging out with us, and we were all just sitting there eating popcorn going, like I can imagine my two girls. Come in, guys, come in. You're all welcome. Come in.
Yeah, everybody sit on the lounge, just not on my spot.
Yeah, that's exactly what they would say, especially one of my dogs. Yeah, come here, but just don't sit near my mum and don't sit near me because I'm just...
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah. Reiki. So
Yes.
I think most people would have heard about it at the very
Yep.
base. What is it, and why would someone come and have this thing called Reiki?
Reiki. Okay, so there are actually a few different types of Reiki. So the original traditional Reiki is a Sui Reiki, which is, a traditional Asian way of healing the body. Like I said, kind of similar energy movements to acupuncture. So I'm trained in second Reiki, and so what we kind of believe is you can either be born with these things or they kind of happen as you go through life when you experience traumatic traumatic events. So the most important thing that I feel in lifestyle and health is the way that you hold your stress and your trauma in your body. Like I believe that a lot of health issues and mental health issues can be avoided if you still have to eat healthy and, move your body and all the rest of that. But I don't think people realize like how trauma can just really affect you. And as I've become a Reiki healer, like I'm so quick to identify people who have had traumatic childhoods, people who have experienced deaths, people who have had terrible relationships, people who are in terrible relationships, just by even little physical indications on their body. So, for instance, someone who has had a very traumatic childhood from the age of 1 to 7, like basic needs not met, not being fed, not being loved, homeless, they generally have issues from the hips down, knees, ankles, toes. So I'm not saying that they have like really specific issues with those things, but they'll be more prone to breaking their ankles, having, for lack of a better word, like, fucked up toenails. They always fuck their toenails up, kick their toenails fall off. Some of them will actually have like not the prettiest looking feet, just things like that. So what we believe is if your energy is blocked in your body, like you've got all of your chakras, so, all of your chakras. And if any of your chakras are blocked, they're directly related to parts of your body across and behind. So, let's just say your throat chakra is blocked. That can affect, whether someone gets throat cancer, thyroid problems, shoulder problems. And if you don't unblock those energies, it makes you extremely vulnerable to sicknesses and injuries. And when you're completely unblocked and your energy is flowing, it just means that your body is just going to work better. You're not going to get as sick from things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
From a non-Reiki doer point of view, does it make any sense?
I understand it. And also I love the fact that you brought up that, yes, you can live a life where you eat what, like, especially now it's to the point where I think it's a bit much at the moment, but it's getting rammed down people's throats that you need to meditate. And I'm all for it, don't get me wrong. But I think the intention behind it right now is coming from a different place. You need to meditate. You need to do yoga. You need to do stretches. You need to do resistance training. You need to have greens powder. You need to have all these supplements. You need to eat clean. You need to up, right? And not have toxic people around you. And then what most people will bust their ass to do all those things. And they don't realize that you could have the perfect diet, train every day, be around positive people. But if you have a stressful life or you're not living how you're meant to within you, stress or trauma, that cancels it out.
Absolutely it does.
So
absolutely.
Go have and drink. No, I'm joking, but it's important that there is that word balance. But I just am not on social media as much as I used to be because it's my algorithm feed. Obviously, it's what I'm personally interested in, what my business is interested in. But I just feel lately it's just got really dark and heavy with I eat clean, I do this, I'm so great. And it's just like, well, what about, I really love how you brought it up today, because the stress and trauma in your body, until you address it and recognize it, it's never going anywhere.
Absolutely.
And you're not going to be in rest and digest. You're going to be in stress mode, and it's just going to cancel out any good.
And it really does. It really does. So like not like delving too much into information because I want to, respect my clients in their privacy. But, I've had clients on my table that have had, bad relationships with their, let's just say, mother or father. And it's very obvious to me when they're on the table. Like, I can say, how was your childhood? And they'll be like, great. But their body tells me that they have had a turbulent relationship with their mother, father, for whatever reason. And, you can talk to these people as they're getting Reiki sessions, within a few weeks of each other or a few months of each other. And you can tell if they've had a blow up with that particular parent who causes that trauma in their body. Like, let's just say, someone who's had a turbulent childhood with their father, and then they have a blow up with their father, that's that masculine side of their body. They'll start to have pains, like unexplained pains in their legs. They'll start having, all of a sudden my toe is sore or my toenail fell off or something like that, random things. And it all coincides with how that person holds that trauma. If they don't talk about it, it stays inside. If they think, oh, hang on, I don't want to make a big deal of it and I don't want to, be passive aggressive with that person, or I don't want to offend anyone, so I'll just hold it all inside, it literally shows up in the body. And I even say to people, like, when you're little and you've been asleep and there's been conversations between your parents, your body hears that and your body knows it, because you can tell me that your parents have had a great relationship even though they're divorced, but your body shows me that you've experienced something between those ages before your parents got divorced that holds a lot of anger and trauma. Like, people who have a lot of anger have a lot of joint issues in their hands, in their elbows, their wrists. Like, I can't tell you how much I can physically see injuries from just holding that stuff in. People don't see psychologists enough. They think that it's okay, I'm just going to deal with it. If it doesn't matter to me, then it doesn't matter. Well, it actually matters to your body.
Yeah. And it's beautiful because you're talking about it and raising this thing that most people don't talk about is we all have something. I don't want anyone to think about, like I've said it on a couple of podcasts before, every person you drive past today, everyone that you see, we are all here working on something and we're trying to move through it as best as we can. The thing is, we just keep pushing it down because we'll be fine, we'll be okay, I'm strong. I don't want to avoidance.
Yeah.
Also, we have days, I know people can resonate with this, you have days where whatever the issue or problem that you're working on, whether it's from your childhood or something, you have some days, okay, I'm fine, I'm going to go see someone to talk to. Oh, yeah. And the next day you feel really good, I'm fine. And then 2 weeks later, oh, I really need to talk to someone. No, I'll be okay. So, bringing awareness that I think it's not just because it's my profession. I don't want to seem biased, but I think everyone needs someone to talk to at some point in their life.
Oh, and it's not my profession, and I absolutely agree. I 1000% think that even if you don't have a friend who's a safe cup, like, or if you have problems that are so big that you're embarrassed to tell your friends, I definitely think that you need to talk. And, even if you verbally get it out and acknowledge those things, your body starts to just heal from it. And you would know as well as I would know, like, you would see people who have very anxious lives, very worrisome lives, their stomach, and even naturopaths will tell you, and this is the thing, these things stem across so many fields, like so many professional fields. They'll tell you how stress and trauma is held in the body, in people's stomachs. Naturopaths always believe that the gut is the center, for all of your regulations. They're talking now about how the vagus nerve is responsible for all of that stuff. And if your back alignment's out, that can cause you stress and anxiety and dysregulation. So it's where does it start and where does it end? But I think it starts with having someone to talk to, get it all out, acknowledge it. First step.
Yeah, and we're not going for perfection.
No, absolutely not.
It's so crap. We're so wired. Like, I know there's this new Barbie movie that's coming out, and I haven't seen much of it, but I just think of it. Like, it's great, but that's part of our wiring is we're not attractive unless we look a certain way, or we have a certain job. I don't know. Like there's all this,
Yeah.
we're all different. We all have a different story. And
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
your story is about, whatever it is about how you look or how you feel, it's just everyone's striving for their own perfect. And I just want people to know that squash it, because do it your way and do what feels right for you, because there is no perfection.
Oh, and that's the thing. Like everyone holds their standard to someone else's social mask. Like you're not even seeing that real person. Do you know what I'm saying? Like all of these people compare themselves to others that they like, even if they know them in real life, like you really don't know who that person is. People on social media, you don't know who that person is. And you know what? I have had clients in my shop and on my bed who have a whole social media appearance. And when you dive in and you know the truth and you know where that comes from, why they want to sit at that level, it makes it all just so not that I'm against people who like to look good or any, but it just makes you a little bit more humble about your life, you know.
Yeah. That it's I without me saying anything, I know completely where you're coming from. Yeah. So okay, so Reiki, and it's all to do with energy and clearing out blockages. So if someone's listening to this and they think, oh yeah, these ladies are talking about stress and trauma, I have a bit of that in my life.
Yeah.
By going to a Reiki session, will that make them feel like, do you feel the relief straight away, or like what will it do for someone?
So every single client who lays on my bed has a completely different experience. So like I said, some people who have the entities and the ghosts, they'll have a little bit of a downtime after they've come from me. Like some of them will be a little bit sick for a few days. Some people will feel $1 million, but we can even deal with people that have, who take antidepressants, who have sleeping problems. Like I have a lady who couldn't sleep. She relied on sleeping tablets. And, we just did a quick 10-minute kind of work on her for her sleep. And she slept for weeks without any aid of sleeping tablets. So like some people can be very quick. It really depends how blocked you are and how open you are. And it actually surprisingly has a lot to do with how aware you are of yourself and your trauma too. So if you come to me and you're so blocked off and you're not aware of trauma and you want to kind of just ignore it all, your body's harder for me to work with and open up than someone who's fully aware of it. They just don't know how to move past it. But yeah, like more often than not, we'll say after your first Reiki session, for the next 3 weeks, if you don't surround yourself with people who are very energetically draining, we call them energy vampires, you'll feel very uplifted, like extremely calm, uplifted. You'll sleep better. You'll just feel like you have a heightened awareness of the world and yourself. Obviously, your body feels better. Shoulder pain can be relieved or completely gone with one Reiki session. Like my husband is actually the reason that I started to do Reiki, was because I used to help my husband. He had a lot of problems with his knees and his ankles. And he's an MMA fighter. So, obviously he can't train well if he's got these little niggling issues, and we don't want it to end up in an injury. So I used to do Reiki on him, and I used to do Reiki to settle his nerves and things like that. And he was the one who actually said to me, like, as much as he is, I wouldn't call him a non-believer, but he's into that. And he was like, you need to go and do this for a career. He's like, you're an incredible healer. You've got an incredible gift. And he always says to me, as much as I don't believe it, and I don't believe that, you can do something like that from the palm of your hand, he says, undeniable. There's the heat that comes off your hand sometimes. He's like, I have to open my eyes because I think you've got a candle on my shoulder. Yeah, it's intense. Wow. Some people get like really hot energy from the hand, and we hover about 10 centimeters off the body, but that's just the energy that people can feel coming from your hand is just super, super hot.
So if you're doing all this beautiful, caring work of service, helping people, what do you do for yourself to take care of yourself? If you're like giving out so much, what are you doing for Nicole?
So funny thing is, when I first became a mum, I used to always try and pour from an empty cup. And since doing Reiki, what I actually learnt from my Reiki master, so she's such an expander. Like she's such an uplifting woman, and she taught me how to, because when you're doing nails and when you're in the aura, like your aura can stretch as far as 18 feet. So even when I'm in the aura of my own children, like if my kids are having a bad day, like they can take from your aura. Even walking in the street, going to play centers, people can take from your aura. So she taught me how to meditate, fluff that back up. I've actually started to do things that I feel calming. Sunlight and fresh air with my family are, to me, the most beautiful things. And it sounds silly, but I kind of almost incorporate energetics and Reiki into a lot of things that I do. So when I'll go with my family to the beach, I'll take my shoes off so that all my negative energy comes out my feet. And it's really funny how uplifting it all is. And I don't know why more people don't do it, because it's just so simple. But yeah, I love, like, obviously I work with the girls in the clinic, and I like to get my facials done, and I love to have a sauna done, and I've just started the gym because I realize now I can't pour from an empty cup. So I'll do little things for myself without feeling selfish. But Reiki and energetics has a lot to do with what I do for self-care. I won't spend time with people who I feel are energy vampires. I won't spend time with people who I feel are negative, like extremely negative. Like, obviously you have to spend time with people who are not your favorite people in the world. But yeah, I really try and limit my time with people that I don't feel comfortable around or I don't feel nice around. And it kind of keeps you floating up here. People can't see me on the voice.
No, up here.
My hand's high. I'm holding it high.
You and I are so connected right now. We've just got our own language, and everyone's listening going, what are these two doing?
We've just sign language through the whole thing with our hands.
I love that. Before we go, I just want to talk about your other business too, Sage Home and Wellness.
Yes. So I actually started Sage. It originally wasn't called Sage, but so I love anything that smells really beautiful. And when I was at home, I'm going to have to send you some stuff. So when I was a mum, like I couldn't go back to work because my boys were so sick. My husband used to work a lot. So I started an online business just for a creative outlet and something to do. And it's funny because I actually have products now that I incorporate my Reiki into. So I have like a smokeless smudge spray. But yeah, I sell the candles and I sell the diffusers, and I just think, I love that business because it's a kind of creative outlet to me, and a lot of my customers are actually mums who I find are very similar to me, that spend a lot of time at home, and when you send them the box and they have that little unboxing experience, it makes them feel a little bit special, and seeing them do something little for themselves. That's why I've kept that business, even though I've gone back to work full time, just because it's a little bit of a selfish joy from it. But I just love seeing my clients happy, love seeing my customers happy.
Yeah, but I like it because I just see so many women out there that are mums that we've been taught to. It comes from within. We do everything, for our children and put them first and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Is when women want to start doing things for themselves and they feel that guilt.
Yeah.
I put around and I always say to them, really normal that you feel this way, but how about you look at it from a different perspective, that with your son or your daughter, if you're moving your body, sitting out in the sun, mummy do something, what you're showing them is how to care for yourself. So it's not selfish. You're actually setting your child up for them to replicate and see if a parent loves themselves, it's okay to do, and this is what you do. But when you do that for yourself, you come back and you're more present.
That's not right.
We're all human, but most of the time we won't snap at them straight away. And that's the awareness that I'd love to, share with people out there today, that yes, it's a practice. And when you start just going to feel uncomfortable and selfish and all those negative voices in your head.
Yeah.
The money you're spending, the time away from the kids, you're a bad mum and all this. And also just your soul missing your little human.
Oh,
but
exactly.
you know, just the longingness of you could be down the road having a sauna and you're just everything and you're like, oh, I just want to be with my child.
Or you can hear them screaming and they're not even in the vicinity. It's just so exhausted. Yeah, I definitely think mums don't value themselves enough. Like being a mum is the hardest job in the world. And you know what? My husband fully gives credit to it. And I'm very, very blessed with my husband. My husband is a man who's like, you know, if you want to do it, you go for it. I'll be behind you. You tell me what you need. You know, he's very, very good at that. And I think to have someone like that is a lot of the reason why I've gone forward. Yes, I'm an ambitious person. Yes, I have drive, you know, but when you're a mum, you lose so much of your self-worth. And if you don't have someone behind you saying, you know, go for it, you can do it, you know, that little angel on your shoulder going, go for it, babe. You know, you kind of just don't put that first foot forward. So I think a lot of it's got to do with your support network as a mum, and a lot of mums that I've seen from my last few years don't have the village. They don't have the village.
And thank you for talking about that, because more women and more men need to know that there's men out there that will say that.
There's so many men. There's so many men.
Put it out there and let women know that it is obtainable. It is out there. You will have someone that, just because you're a strong woman, there are men out there that aren't put off by it and that will be like, yeah, go for it. I've got your, like.
Oh, exactly. It's not a competition. Like I do see a lot of men who try and hold their wives or their partners back because it's like an ego thing. Like, well, that's who you've chosen. Like, why wouldn't you try and push them forward to be them best selves? Like, that's a reflection of you and how you treat your woman.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like, I just can't put tickets on my husband enough because he's let me do so many things in life. And, you know, he's recognized how hard it is to be as a mom. And he's always, you know, he always encourages me with my instincts and, you know, what I do with the kids and routines and what I want to do. You know, he always encourages me, do something for yourself, you know, go to the gyms. You want to start your business, because he realizes that me looking after myself means that I can look after him and that I can look after my kids better. Because pouring from a full cup. Yeah. He's a very smart man.
We'll stop talking about him now because his
head's going to be massive.
I think that's great, but we need to talk about it because it's that actually side of men isn't spoken enough about, that there are the ones out there that are really sure of themselves. They know who they are, they know what they want, but they're happy to hold space for women like us that are strong and what we want. And you know, it is a special kind of man too. Like that's what I mean. It is, they are out there, but they are on a different level.
Exactly. And you know what, a lot of women picture a man like that being, you know, oh, maybe he's like that because he's not attractive or he's, you know, he's not confident. My husband is such an attractive, masculine energy man. Do you know what I mean? Like he's a man. He looks like a man. He acts like a man, and he lets me hold my feminine space, you know. And that's what I'm saying. Like with the instincts too, with meeting him, like I knew my husband was going to be a good dad. I knew he was going to be a good husband. You know, it was just the instincts weren't there that I had with other people. I knew that he was going to be good. And you know what? It's paid off. Like I shouldn't say it because I don't want all these people to come for my husband. I have the best husband in the world. I love him. But it also goes down because I treat him good too.
Yeah, it goes both ways. But
exactly,
you know, honor it. Be proud of it. I'd be singing it from the rooftops, being like, like, be proud of it. It's a great thing. We shouldn't dumb ourselves down for anyone just because we make other people feel uncomfortable. It's not an ego thing. It's, if we do that, then it gives other people permission to be like, oh, cool, I can be myself too because they're their selves, you know?
Exactly. And you know what? Like, I really feel sorry for these mums who, you know, enter the newborn world, motherhood, who don't have a good support, because like my husband carried me when my kids were like, especially my eldest, when he was little, my husband carried me. You know, it wasn't a 50-50 relationship at all. It was 95 to 5%. My husband did everything, emotionally carried me. Like I can't.
Roundabouts. That's welcome to a healthy relationship.
Exactly.
There'll be a time where he's going to be 5% and you're going to be 95. It happens,
and it's changed.
Yeah.
You know, there's been times that I've had to carry him. You know, it's an even playing field, but you know, and do you know what? It all kind of rounds back to our first conversation of follow your instincts, because you know what? If I ended up with someone that, you know, I didn't follow my instincts with, and, you know, didn't realize that I deserved better, or, you know, realize that, you know, something's going on and I've got to trust myself, and I ended up with one of those people, I wouldn't have the life that I have now. And so many women don't realize that, you know, it is the devil you pick as well, like the evil. Like, so, there's a man who won't be good for you, but there's a man that man's still good for somebody else. Do you know what I mean? And that's why women should never settle. If you think your man's playing up or you think he's not good, you just leave. Like, women need to love themselves so much more than what they do, and have so much more faith in their feelings than what they do. Like, women could run the world, Barbara. We're just not. Should I say that out loud? We could run the world.
But we do. It's just that people don't realize that we do, but we're
just too busy. We're too busy to make a deal about it.
Yeah, we do around the world. So as we wrap up today, I always ask my guests this one question. I always ask them, and we've spoken about a lot of things today, what's one thing, if someone's listening to this, what's one thing that you would like them to know today?
Oh, 100%. Just have faith in your own little niggles and your gut instincts. If it comes to love, family members, you know, if you feel that there's something wrong with someone, reach out, call them. You know, if you feel there's something off in your relationship, you know, just trust. People need to trust themselves. Like, even if you're not got this fang dang, you know, clairvoyant gift, everyone still feels energetically good and bad. And I just think that people should trust it, especially mums with their kids. I've seen so many mums. I've had clients come to me crying because they know that there's something wrong with their kids and no one will listen. I just think that people, even men, they just need to listen to themselves and trust themselves more, because you've got everything in you that you need to get through life safely and, you know, and healthily and calmly, but you just ignore it.
And life can be simple. It can be happy. It can be fun. It can be simple. It can be wholesome.
Yeah.
But it's a choice.
Exactly.
Thank you for our chat today. It has been.
Thank you.
It has been pretty awesome.
It's been, I'm a kind of whirlwind to jump from one topic to another, but I hope we got there.
No,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, it all just flowed. So, yeah, I really think a lot of people listening to this from all walks of life will really be able to connect to this.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Nicole and I were having such a great chat that over the 56 episodes I've recorded, I have never once not asked a guest how people can get in touch with them. So I wanted to give you the details, because if you've been listening to this and you think, you know, I'd really like to chat to Nicole, get in touch with her, have a Reiki session, and these Reiki sessions can be done in person in her studio in Wollongong or virtually. So what I'm going to do is just give you the details of her two businesses. So the first one is you can find Nicole at the Palm Studio in Wollongong, and that's where she does nails and brows and lash treatments, and you will find her on Instagram at the.palm.studio. And then the other business we spoke about today, in line with the spiritual side of things, is she has an online business called Sage Home and Wellness, and it's to do with scents and self-care. And you can find her website, sagehomeandwellness.com.au, or over on Instagram. It's all together, Sage Home and Wellness. So yeah, definitely reach out to Nicole if you have any questions or would like to book a Reiki session with her. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. and it has inspired you on your self-care journey. Please feel free to share this with a friend and subscribe over on Apple Podcast. I really love hearing your feedback, so guys, please feel free to write a review on Apple and let me know which part of this episode resonated with you the most. To fall in love with yourself is the first secret to happiness. To find out a bit more about Self-Care Studio or the Studio Chat podcast, head over to my Instagram page, self_care_studio, or on my website, selfcarebybarbaraThompson.com.au. Really look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Look after you. And I'll catch you soon. Bye!